So what is Ionic? In the past, this would have been a bit easier to answer because Ionic evolved quite a bit across the last years. And I'll come back to a brief history and future outlook later in this module. So, assuming that you don't know anything about Ionic, which is fine, this course is for you just as it is for people who know a little bit about Ionic or have worked with older versions of Ionic. Ionic in the end is all about having one code base, which is the code base for a web app and therefore uses HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So what you would use to build normal user interfaces in the web. And you use these tools and these techniques and these languages which you already know and take some magic, to which I will come back in the next few seconds, added by Ionic to generate web apps, progressive web apps, and I'll come back to what this is in a second too, iOS and Android apps, and if you want, even Electron desktop apps. Electron is a certain technology that allows you to wrap a web app into a desktop app, so to say. So you can build an app for different platforms with one and the same code base, with minor adjustments, as you will learn in this course, but really minor adjustments, not big ones. And that, of course, is a big selling point. You can use your existing knowledge and get different apps, which allows you to distribute your app on different channels. Now, regarding that progressive web app part, a progressive web app in the end is a normal web app that looks and feels a bit like a native mobile app. It isn't a native mobile app. You don't distribute it through the app stores. It's still a website which you can find via Google and so on, but it's optimized to be reliable, which means it even works offline, or parts of it work offline. It should be fast and give the user instant feedback upon actions. And you also want to have an engaging app, which is able to tap into some native device features, like using the location of the user or the camera. And with Ionic, you can build such a progressive web app. You can also build a normal web app, which isn't particularly fast or which doesn't tap into native device features. And you can also, though, get a real native app out of it so that you can really target the broadest range of channels possible. Now, let's dive a bit deeper into the Ionic platform then, because it's nice that we know that with Ionic we can build such cross-platform apps, but what does this mean? What really is Ionic? How does it do that? What's this magic ingredient it adds? The Ionic platform, as we should call it, is all about Ionic, which in its core is a set of web components. Now, web components, on the other hand, are a technology supported by modern browsers, which allows you to basically build your own HTML elements that behind the scenes have more complex logic. Something like a tabs component, let's say, where the user can toggle between different tabs. In the past, you could build something like this on your own by writing your own HTML, adding your own CSS, and adding your own JavaScript logic. Ionic gives you such a functionality packaged up in a finished, ready-to-use web component. And it has lots of web components you can use. That is the core of Ionic, this suite of nicely styled, platform agnostic and automatically adjusting, so that you automatically have the look of the platform you're running on, web components which you can dump into your web project. So these custom HTML elements could be built by you, but with Ionic you don't have to. You get a finished suite of such web components. Now, these web components, therefore, are what you can see on the screen. But Ionic and the Ionic ecosystem is more than just that. Because Ionic is not just a suite of components, Ionic is also the name of the company who developed or which developed these components. And this company has more than just this component suite. It also worked on a tool named Capacitor. Now, Capacitor is essentially a tool that is capable of taking your existing web app and wrapping it into a so-called web view into a native mobile app. So in the end, it gives you a native mobile app that runs your web app inside of it, but in a way that is indistinguishable for the user to a normal native app, because it is a normal native app just with, well, a web app included in it, but it looks and feels like a regular mobile app which you build with native mobile controls, as you will see in this course. And that's amazing because this allows you to take your web app and convert it into a mobile app easily. Now, if you're a little bit more experienced in this area, you also might know Cordova, which is a similar tool doing something similar. Capacitor is basically a more modern version of that, built from the ground up by the people at Ionic who have a lot of experience with that, who used Cordova in the past, but now have their own solution, which we'll also use in this course, which is super fast, super easy to use, and makes it really easy to build native mobile apps. So this is the part that allows us to use our web app and run it on a native device as a native mobile app and not just as a website opened in the browser. Now, last but not least, the Ionic platform, so the set of tools we use from the Ionic ecosystem, also has the Ionic CLI, which stands for Command Line Interface, which can work with other CLIs, like in this course, the Angular CLI, which we will use behind the scenes, which helps us create Ionic projects, manage them, use Capacitor to convert our web app into a mobile app. So basically, which helps us with the entire build workflow. That is the last important part from the Ionic world we'll be using. This makes developing simply easier, faster, and allows us to finally build and package our app up. Now, this is the Ionic platform. These are the tools you will learn about in this course in detail, and this is just a big picture here, obviously. And this is what Ionic gives us to build amazing web apps which can work and run as web apps, but then they look like native mobile apps already, thanks to these nice Ionic web components, which, by the way, are also not just about the looks, but also have a lot of rich functionality included in them, like this tab functionality I mentioned earlier. But then Ionic doesn't stop there, doesn't stop at that web user interface. It then also gives you the tool to build that in an easy way and to then also convert it into mobile apps or even desktop apps if you want to. This is the Ionic platform in its core. There also are certain premium and cloud services offered by Ionic. For some of them you have to pay, others are free. I won't dive too much into them in this course, but I want to mention them nonetheless. These services allow you to build your app in the cloud. For example, if you want to build an iOS app on Windows, this would be possible with these services. And they also have other services for easier development or previewing. And you can find all of that on their official webpage, which I'll also show you in a second. But this is Ionic in its core.